Then Fiacha brought him the spear, unknown to the sons of Morna or to any other person, and he said, "When you will hear the music of the she, let you strip the covering off the head of the spear and put it to your forehead, and the power of the spear will not let sleep come upon you." Welcome everybody to my special Samhain episode of the Irish Myths Storytime podcast. I'm your host, i.e. Kneverday, creator of irishmyths.com and the Irish Myths YouTube channel. Today's story has got everything you want in an Irish myth, or any myth for that matter. A magical weapon, a fire-breathing monster, music, mayhem, a hero, Finn McCool, arguably the most popular hero in all of Irish mythology. And, of course, we have the spooky setting of Samhain, the Gaelic harvest festival that would ultimately pave the way for our modern holiday of Halloween. Now, this story comes from the Fenian cycle of Irish mythology and belongs to a narrative known as Macgnímartha Finn, or the Boyhood Deeds of Fionn, which was first recorded in the 12th century. But as I always like to point out, Irish storytelling was predominantly an oral tradition prior to Christianization. So the story of Elaine Macgnímartha, a.k.a. the Burner, who repeatedly wreaks havoc on Tara, Ireland's royal seat of power, is likely centuries older. The story is known by many titles, including The Enchantment of Tara, as author Violet Russell rendered it in her 1914 book, Heroes of the Dawn. And I'd be remiss not to mention that Beatrice Elvery, the aforementioned book's illustrator, gave us one of the best illustrations ever of the Finn versus Elaine showdown. That being said, I'll be presenting a different retelling of this tale, the one that appears in Lady Gregory's 1902 work, Gods and Fighting Men, under the chapter title, The Coming of Finn. Full disclosure, for the sake of brevity, I'll be reading an excerpt from that chapter. Basically, I'm skipping Finn's backstory and jumping right into the action of the Burner's attacks on Tara. And while I'm tempted to go into exhausting detail about how this myth harkens back to a chronologically earlier myth, the coming of Lugh from the mythological cycle, and how it also fits rather nicely into the Celtic dragon storytelling motif, which often sees fire-breathing beasts crawling or flying out of caves on important feast days, that's not what I do here on this podcast. If you want to journey down rabbit holes, dragon holes, go check out my YouTube explainer video on dragons from Irish myth and legend, linked in the description. This is Storytime, and now, your story. Every year now at Samhain time, for 9 years, there had come a man of the Tuatha Dé Danann out of She Finnachai in the north, and had burned up Tara. Elaine, son of Migna, his name was, and it is the way he used to come, playing music of the she, and all the people that heard it would fall asleep. And when they were all in their sleep, he would let a flame of fire out of his mouth, and would blow the flame till all Tara was burned. The king rose up at the feast after a while, and his smooth horn in his hand, and it is what he said. "If I could find among you, men of Ireland, any man that would keep Tara till the break of day tomorrow without being burned by Elaine, son of Migna, I would give him whatever inheritance is right for him to have, whether it be much or little." But the men of Ireland made no answer, for they knew well that at the sound of the sweet, pitiful music made by that comely man of the she, even women in their pains and men that were wounded would fall asleep. It is then Finn rose up and spoke to the King of Ireland. "Who will be your sureties that you will fulfill this?" he said. "The kings of the provinces of Ireland," said the king, "and Kirwa with his druids." So they gave their pledges, and Finn took in hand to keep Tara safe till the breaking of day on the morrow. Now, there was a fighting man among the followers of the King of Ireland, Fiacha, son of Conga, that Cúil, Finn's father, used to have a great liking for. And he said to Finn, "Well, boy," he said, "what reward would you give me if I would bring you a deadly spear that no false cast was ever made with?" "What reward are you asking of me?" said Finn. "Whatever your right hand wins at any time, the third of it to be mine," said Fiacha, "and a third of your trust and your friendship to be mine." I will give you that, said Finn. Then Fiacha brought him the spear, unknown to the sons of Morna, or to any other person, and he said, When you will hear the music of the Sidhe, let you strip the covering off the head of the spear, and put it to your forehead, and the power of the spear will not let sleep come upon you. Then Finn rose up before all the men of Ireland, and he made a round of the whole of Tara. And it was not long till he heard the sorrowful music. And he stripped the covering from the head of the spear, and he held the power of it to his forehead. And Alain went on playing his little harp till he had put every one in their sleep as he was used. And then he lit a flame of fire out from his mouth to burn Tara. And Finn held up his fringed crimson cloak against the flame, and it fell down through the air and went into the ground, bringing the four-folded cloak with it deep into the earth. And when Alain saw his spells were destroyed, he went back to Sidhe Finnachai on top of Slieve Fuad. But Finn followed after him there, and as Alain was going in at the door, he made a cast of the spear that went through his heart. And he struck his head off then, and brought it back to Tara, and fixed it on a crooked pole, and left it there till the rising of the sun over the heights and invers of the country. And Alain's mother came to where his body was lying, and there was great grief on her, and she made this complaint. Ahon, Alain is fallen, chief of the Sidhe of Benya, Borcha. The slow clouds of death are come on him. Och, he was pleasant. Och, he was kind. Alain, son of Migna of Slieve Fuad. 9 times he burned Tara. It is a great name he was always looking for. Achon, Achon, Alain. And at the breaking of day, the king and all the men of Ireland came out upon the lawn at Tara, where Finn was. King, said Finn, there is the head of the man that burned Tara, and the pipe and the harp that made his music. And it is what I think, he said, that Tara and all that is in it is saved. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like and subscribe, and depending on the platform, leaving a review would be greatly appreciated. I've also written a few books you might be interested in, available over on Amazon. Might I recommend Irish Monsters in Your Pocket, a tiny little book about Irish dragons, werewolves, vampires, banshees, headless horsemen, and other beastly beings. Or if you want to learn more about the time of year when those aforementioned beastly beings are wont to cross over from the Celtic otherworld, check out Samhain in Your Pocket, a tiny little book about the Celtic origins of Halloween. As always, my name is a.k.a. Kneverday, editor of the short story anthology Neon Druid, and creator of IrishMyths.com. Thanks for coming out. Finn held up his fringed crimson cloak, and Finn held up his fringed crimson cloak, and Finn held up his fringed crimson